Okay, I want you to picture a number in your head. It's a sales close rate.
Mm-hmm.
For most sales leaders, a good number might be 20%. Maybe 30 if you're absolutely crushing it and the market is hot.
Right, that's what you aim for.
But the number I'm looking at right now, right here in our source material, is 90%. 90.
It sounds like a typo, doesn't it? Or, I mean, just a flat-out lie.
It sounds like Fantasyland. If you're a sales executive listening to this, your internal alarm bells are probably ringing off the hook. You're thinking, in this economy, with these budget cuts, a 90% close rate is impossible.
And honestly, you'd be right to be skeptical. If we were talking about a standard volume-based sales approach, the old spray and pray, then yeah, 90% is statistically impossible.
Right.
But today we aren't talking about standard sales. We are talking about a philosophy that flips the traditional funnel on its head.
We are diving deep into a very provocative article by Nathan Davis from the Sales Experts. The title alone is enough to get you fired in some marketing departments. Stop wasting money on marketing.
It is a brutal title, but it's so necessary. Davis isn't arguing against the concept of marketing. He's arguing against the chaotic, panic-driven way that most companies default to when the numbers start to slip.
Exactly. And that is the mission for this deep dive. We're going to unpack why pouring money into the top of the funnel is actually destroying your profitability. And we're going to walk through the 4 specific rules Davis lays out to fix it. And honestly, if you can implement these, that 90% close rate starts to look less like magic and more like just simple math.
Exactly. It's the math of exclusion. It's all about who you don't talk to.
So let's start with the problem. The article describes a scenario that I think is going to feel, well, uncomfortably familiar to a lot of our listeners.
Oh, yeah.
You have a campaign, it's live, and it's flatlining. The leads aren't coming in, or the ones that are coming in are, well, let's call them suboptimal.
Garbage is usually the word used behind closed doors when the sales team reviews the leads.
Right. So the numbers are down. The quarterly target is looming. What is the instinctive boardroom reaction?
It's almost always what Davis calls shouting louder. It's this visceral human reaction. You feel unheard, so you scream.
Yeah.
In a corporate context, that looks like doubling the ad spend, buying more aggressive keywords, spamming more inboxes, running flashier promos. The logic is, if we just hit more eyeballs, the numbers have to work out.
It's a law of large numbers, right? It's a volume play. If I talk to 1 million people, surely 10 of them will buy.
Theoretically, yes. But the article identifies this extra spend as just noise. I mean, think about it this way. If I'm whispering a message to you in a language you don't understand, does me screaming it through a megaphone help you understand it?
No, it just makes you annoying.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to leave the room.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It burns cash and it alienates the market. You aren't fixing the reception problem, you're just amplifying the transmission error. And this creates a cycle of diminishing returns. You spend more to get less.
And the article points out a specific psychological driver for this. It's the fear of being niche. It's the trap of trying to be everything to everyone.
Oh, that is the death knell for modern B2B sales. You see it on websites all the time. We help everyone from startups to the Fortune 500.
Ugh, yes.
When I hear that, I don't hear ambition. I hear, we have no idea where our actual value lies.
It's just bland. It's vanilla.
It's worse than bland. It's expensive. Davis makes a critical point here that I think gets overlooked by finance teams. When you market to everyone, you are spending real dollars to communicate with people who will never buy.
Right.
Not people who are on the fence, people who are hard no.
That's a chilling thought for a CFO. You're literally lighting money on fire to annoy people who have no use for you.
And then consider the downstream effect. You're demoralizing your sales team. You're handing them leads that are destined to fail and then asking them why their conversion rates are so low. That just kills culture.
So if shouting louder is the wrong move and volume is the enemy, what's the alternative? The article pivots here to buyer psychology, and there's this mantra Davis uses. Where the value is clear, the decision is easy.
It sounds so simple, but let's really chew on that for a second. The decision is easy. When was the last time a complex B2B sale felt easy?
Never. It's usually 6 months of redlining contracts, 3 layers of approval, a pilot program, and a procurement battle.
And why is that? Friction is usually a symptom of unclear value. We tend to blame the buyer, oh, they're dragging their feet, or they're just cheap. But Davis uses this analogy that I love because it strips away all the corporate jargon and just looks at human behavior.
The personal spending analogy, I related to this one hard.
Right. The idea is that we all plead poverty when it comes to things we don't value. We complain about the price of gas or the electric bill. We look for coupons for things we don't really care about.
Right.
But if your child needs braces, or if your dog needs emergency surgery,
You find the money instantly.
you find the money immediately. You don't negotiate terms for net 60 payment on your dog's surgery. You pay it. Or, on a lighter note, if your favorite band is doing a reunion tour, or your team makes the playoff.
Oh, absolutely. I will complain about a $5 increase in my Netflix subscription,
Yep.
but I will drop an embarrassing amount of money on a new espresso machine because, coffee is a priority for me.
That's the key. You are not price sensitive about things that solve a critical pain or deliver a massive joy. And here's the insight that B2B leaders often miss. Buyers are human.
Yeah.
Whether they are a CTO, a VP of HR, or a procurement officer, they operate on the exact same psychological software.
We tend to view them as robots, don't we? Just like calculating ROI spreadsheets.
We do. But if you solve a problem that keeps that CTO awake at night, if you can promise them that they won't get fired for a security breach, they will find the budget. They will move mountains.
So the argument is, if you're struggling to close, it's not because of the economy, it's because you haven't tapped into that pet surgery level of urgency for them.
Correct. You are offering them a nice-to-have vitamin when they are desperately looking for a painkiller. If the value is truly clear and the pain is real, the sale becomes inevitable. The close isn't a battle, it's just a logical conclusion.
Okay, but getting to that point requires a massive strategic shift. You can't just will yourself into being important to them. The source lays out these 4 rules that we need to follow before we spend another penny on marketing. And I want to go through these in detail because they seem simple on the surface, but the implementation sounds painful.
It is painful. It requires discipline. It requires saying no to potential revenue, which is probably the hardest thing a sales leader can do.
Let's look at rule number 1. Identify your ideal customer. Now, I feel like I can hear the eyes rolling in the audience. We have an ICP. We know who we sell to.
Yeah.
But Davis implies most companies are doing this all wrong.
Most companies define their ideal customer profile, their ICP demographically. They'll say, we sell to manufacturing companies with 50 to 200 employees located in the Southeast.
Right.
That's not an ideal customer. That's a phone book listing.
So what's the Davis definition?
He says you must focus on the people to whom you can deliver the greatest value. And then comes the brutal part. Nobody else matters.
Nobody else matters. That's the part that scares people.
It should. It means if a prospect comes in who could use your product, but they aren't the one who will get the maximum value from it, you shouldn't be spending money to attract them.
Can we make this concrete? Let's say I'm selling project management software.
Okay, so the generic approach is we sell to project managers. The Davis approach is we sell to creative agencies who are losing profitability because of scope creep.
That is a huge difference.
Huge. If you sell to a generic project manager at a slow-moving utility company, your software is a convenience. They might pay for it, but they'll churn the second a cheaper option appears. But for that creative agency, your software literally stops them from losing money on every job. You are saving their business.
You're the pet surgery.
Exactly. For the agency, you are essential. For the utility company, you are overhead. Rule number 1 demands that you focus only on the agency. You ignore the utility company. You don't market to them.
Which requires a level of restraint that most sales cultures just don't have. They see the utility company as money on the table.
And that is the trap. It's bad revenue. It churns high, demands lots of support, and complains about price. You want the good revenue.
This leads perfectly into rule number 2. Speak their language. If we've narrowed down to that creative agency, our messaging has to shift. The article talks about the we versus you trap.
This is the feature dumping syndrome. We fall in love with our own product. We want to talk about our cloud architecture, our new UI, our API integrations.
We have a 99.9% uptime.
Exactly. And the customer is sitting there thinking, I don't care about your uptime. I care about the fact that my team missed a deadline yesterday and my client is screaming at me.
So how do we fix the language?
You flip the subject of the sentence. So instead of we offer robust tracking features, it becomes, you will never have to ask your team where a project stands again.
It's subtle, but it shifts the spotlight from the vendor to the hero of the story, the buyer.
It forces you to understand their world. You can't speak their language if you don't know their slang, their fears, their daily grind. You have to sound like an insider, not a vendor. If you use generic corporate buzzwords, you trigger their spam filter, both mentally and digitally.
Okay. Rule number 3. And I think this is the one that contradicts that whole Silicon Valley mindset the most. Saturate one market first.
The go big or go home fallacy.
Right. The instinct is to launch globally. Tackle the U.S., Europe, and Asia all at once, or tackle healthcare, finance, and retail simultaneously. Why does Davis say this is a mistake?
It's just physics. Pressure equals force divided by area. If you take your limited marketing budget and you spread it across 5 industries, your impact is negligible. You're a drop of water in the ocean.
You're invisible.
Completely. But if you take that same budget and focus it entirely on one specific niche, say community banks in the Midwest, you can be everywhere. You can be at every conference, in every newsletter, on every podcast they listen to.
You become the big fish in the small pond.
And that creates momentum. Word of mouth doesn't travel between industries very well. A dentist doesn't talk to a warehouse manager. But a dentist does talk to other dentists. When you saturate a market, the market starts doing the selling for you.
It builds that social proof.
Yeah.
If I see you at my industry conference 3 years in a row, I just assume you're the leader, even if you're actually smaller than the generalist competitor.
Exactly. Specialization signals competence. Generalization signals commodity. And when you are a commodity, you compete on price. When you are a specialist, you compete on value.
That brings us to rule number 4. Tailor your value proposition. This seems to be about nuance. Even within your ideal customer, not everyone cares about the same things.
This is all about the buying committee. In B2B, you rarely sell to one person. You have a user, a champion, a financial buyer, a technical buyer.
And they all have different headaches.
Totally different. If you send the CFO a case study about how much fun the software is to use, they will delete it. They care about ROI and risk mitigation.
Sure.
If you send the end user a white paper on security compliance, they'll fall asleep. They just care about saving time on a Friday afternoon.
So you can't just have the pitch. You need the pitches.
You need to slice the value proposition. It's the same product, but a different lens for each stakeholder. Davis warns that one generic message will likely fail with all of them because it's not specific enough for any of them.
It really reinforces that idea that lazy marketing is the most expensive thing you can do. You have to do the homework.
Lazy marketing is just noise, and noise is expensive.
So we've got the 4 rules. Identify the ideal customer, speak their language, saturate one market, and tailor the value prop. But let's say I'm a listener. I'm driving to work. I'm thinking, okay, this makes sense, but how do I know if I'm actually doing it wrong?
Right.
The source provides a little diagnostic check.
3 questions. And they are deceptive because they look simple, but I challenge everyone listening to actually try to answer them without using buzzwords.
Let's hit them.
Question 1. Do you know exactly who your audience is? And exactly is the key word. Not marketing managers, but marketing managers in Series B fintech companies who use HubSpot. That level of detail.
Question 2.
Have you defined what matters most to them? Not what you are proud of, what they value. What are they afraid of losing? What are they desperate to gain?
And number 3.
Is your value proposition crystal clear? Can they understand it in 5 seconds? Or does it take a 10-minute demo just to explain what you actually do?
Now, here is the kick in the teeth from the article. If the answer to any of those is no, or I'm not sure, or kind of, what is the advice?
Stop.
Stop the campaign.
Stop spending money. Immediately. It feels radical, doesn't it?
It feels terrifying. You're telling a VP of sales to stop generating leads.
I'm telling them to stop generating waste. If you are driving in the wrong direction, pressing the accelerator doesn't get you there faster, it just gets you lost faster. Davis says you need to pull over, open the business plan, and fix the strategy.
This connects right back to that opening hook, the 90% close rate. It's not about having silver-tongued salespeople who can sell ice to Eskimos.
No, a 90% close rate means your marketing did the heavy lifting of elimination. By the time a prospect gets to a sales call, they are already the right fit, they already speak the language, and they already value the solution.
So the sales call is just a confirmation of what they already know.
Exactly. You aren't convincing them to buy, you are facilitating a purchase they already want to make. That is how you survive a recession. In a boom time, a rising tide lifts all boats. You can afford to be sloppy, you can shout, and someone will hear you.
But when the tide goes out,
precision wins. The companies struggling right now are the ones trying to shout louder at a market that has become deaf to generic noise.
It's a shift from an activity mindset. Look how many calls we made. Look how many emails we sent. To a success mindset.
Quality over quantity. It's the oldest cliche in the book, but in high-stakes B2B sales, it is the only truth that matters.
So let's make this actionable. It's Monday morning, you're a sales leader, you walk into the office. What do you actually do differently?
You look at your pipeline, and you be honest. You look at those 50 leads and you ask, how many of these fit our ideal customer profile perfectly?
And if the answer is only 5,
Then you focus your best talent on those 5. And you go back to marketing and you say, stop bringing me the other 45. They are distracting us. You tighten the filter upstream.
it sounds like you're advocating for marketing and sales to actually, talk to each other.
A novel concept, I know. But yes, marketing is a service to sales. Marketing's job isn't to generate leads. It's to generate future customers. Those are very different things.
I really like the idea of respecting the budget. We talk about burn rate in startups, usually regarding headcount or tech. But marketing waste is a silent killer.
It is, and it's also about respecting the prospect. Nobody wants to be pitched something irrelevant. When you get this right, when you target the right person with the right solution to their actual problem, marketing stops feeling like an interruption. It feels like a service.
Thank you for finding me. I needed this.
Exactly. That's the reaction you want.
Okay, let's circle back to the saturate point one last time, because I think that's a strategic lever most people are afraid to pull. There's this fear that if I only focus on Midwest community banks, I'm leaving the East Coast credit union's money on the table.
You have to view it as a sequence, not a sacrifice.
Well,
You capture the Midwest banks first, you own that territory, you build the case studies, the revenue, the reputation, then you use that war chest to invade the East Coast.
it's like a military campaign. You don't attack the whole front line at once.
You breach the line at one point, and then you expand. If you try to attack the whole line, you run out of ammo. It's that simple.
And I imagine that builds tremendous confidence in the sales team, too. If they know they're the Midwest bank experts, they walk into those meetings with a different swagger than if they're just general software salespeople.
100%. Competence creates confidence, and confidence closes deals.
So to wrap this up, the message from the sales experts and Win Nathan Davis is pretty clear. If your close rates are low, don't blame the economy and don't just turn up the volume.
Stop the noise. Start the strategy.
We've covered a lot of ground. If you're a sales leader listening to this, here are your 3 takeaways to write down. Number 1, stop shouting louder. More volume on a bad message is just faster bankruptcy.
Number 2, be ruthless about your ideal customer. Focus only on where you deliver the most value. Have the courage to ignore everyone else.
And number 3, saturate one market at a time. Don't try to boil the ocean. Pick a pond and own it.
And keep asking yourself those diagnostic questions. Do you know who they are? Do you know what they value? Is it crystal clear? If not, pause the spend.
If you want to dive deeper into this kind of thinking, and let's be honest, we all need a sanity check on our strategies sometimes, you should definitely check out the source of today's deep dive. You can find more insights on recruitment, management, and selling at thesalesexperts.com.
It's a great resource for getting out of the weeds and seeing the bigger picture.
Before we go, here's a final thought to chew on. We talked about budget waste. If you opened your marketing budget right now or looked at the time your sales team spent on calls last week, what percentage of that resource was spent trying to convince people who were never going to buy in the first place?
That's the scary question, but answering it is the first step to hitting that 90% close rate.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. Go sell something to someone who actually wants it.
See you next time.